This video was sponsored by Raycon.
Hey, we're out of mustard.
There's more in the cabinet.
Thanks.
Okay, so you might have noticed the otherworldly Arlo doppelganger that's been hanging around recently. Good news is, the Raycon Everyday E25s are still a constant part of my everyday life, offering a comfortable, high-quality listening experience wherever I go. Bad news, they're so sleek, low-profile, and affordable, coming in at about half the price of other premium wireless earbuds, that they've ripped open a hole in space-time.
Where are the napkins?
Above the fridge. Yeah, and see, they can last up to 6 hours on a charge, and this little carrying case can charge them more. And apparently being able to get up to 24 hours of listening is so absurd that it's broken the laws of physics and tossed Arlos all around the universe.
Can I have some juice?
Yeah, but you're not an Arlo. Who are you?
I'm Barlow.
Oh no. Being able to get 15% off at buyraycon.com/Arlo has made the Raycon Everyday E25s too affordable. The rift is widening.
My name's Jorlo. Want to play a game?
I'm Marklo, and I just love the number 5.
Okay, it's looking like I locked myself in the bathroom and listened to Enya kind of day. I'll take these. It's getting windy. Hello, my beautiful Pokemon training friends. I'm here with my impressions. I mean, it's basically a review. I don't know, review impressions, whatever you want to call it, of Crown Tundra, the last chunk of DLC in the expansion pass for Pokemon Sword and Shield. I kind of struggled with like how much to show in this video. So I'm like, basically, like if you're like super spoiler sensitive, like yeah, I'm gonna be going into stuff. I'll just stop you right now and say like, if you like Pokemon Sword and Shield, you're gonna like the Crown Tundra DLC. If you like the Isle of Armor DLC, you're probably gonna, I mean, well, you gotta buy both. You gotta get the expansion pass. Yeah, if you like Sword and Shield, you'll like it. If you like catching legendaries, you'll like it. So there you go. So beyond this point, I am gonna be going into like the major legendaries that they already talked about, like in all the trailers and stuff, and kind of how you get them. Not everything, like the stuff that the game kind of tries to keep a secret. I'll try not to spoil too much of that. So yeah, basically, if it was already out in the open, I'll talk about it, and if it's not, then I'll pretty much not. I'll just kind of talk about it, and you'll get what I mean if you've played the game, and whatever, here we go. If you watched my video on Isle of Armor, you'll know that well, I mean, it's probably anybody's favorite part of Isle of Armor is just having another wild area. The wild area in the base game, a little bit disappointing, not nearly as big and varied as I expected, but then Isle of Armor just like, it really, I don't know, it gave me like the wild area I feel like I was kind of wishing for in the base game. Way bigger, just cooler and awesome and all that stuff. And so I was definitely, I had pretty high hopes going into Crown Tundra. I'm a little bit disappointed to say that the wild area itself is not as good. It's still pretty good. I really love like the places with the gloomy atmosphere. I love, there's like a cemetery, got a graveyard, and it's pretty cool. And you know, it's nice, and there's like the big like by the ocean area. It's very just bright and vibrant. I really love like the theming. I love way up in the north, way at the top of a mountain you've got to climb, and you've got this big awesome tree like in an old temple, and then you know, down in the south you've got this other big tree with these big fruits on it. And so like visually there is a lot to enjoy. It's not quite as good as Isle of Armor, just because that had, I don't know, it just had so many beautiful locations and it was easier to navigate. I would say my main problem with the Crown Tundra wild area, just the DLC in general, there's like, the map is horrible, and like it's not as much of a problem in the base game and Isle of Armor, just because those places, they felt easier to navigate. Like you could tell where you are just by like where you are, you know, looking around. You can kind of generally get a feel for like where to go. But here in Crown Tundra, you get turned around, and it's never been more obvious that the map in this game stinks to high heaven. Mostly it just like, it doesn't show your exact location. It just tells you what little chunk you're in, which is really not very helpful. It doesn't even tell you what direction you're pointing. When you're anywhere, it doesn't give you like just a north, south, east, west. And so it's like, and in Crown Tundra, it's all very samey. It's really easy to get lost in all these caves and just around these corners, and like, you're standing there and you're like, I have no idea where to go. I look at the map, I have no idea where to go. So much of my time was spent just running around, just like, I know I saw this temple before. I saw it a bunch of times, and now I've been running around for 10 minutes and I just can't find it. Super hard to navigate. If I'm missing some sort of map function, then I apologize, but like, no, sorry to start off so negative, but like I cannot believe I'm playing a game in the year 2020 and the map is so unhelpful. Why do they want it to not be helpful? Do they want me to get lost and not really know where I'm going? You can't like properly mark things on your map once you've seen them. It's just, I don't know. It wasted so much of my time. And I really didn't like it. It's just so much harder to navigate than the base game, the Isle of Armor. But on the good side, I did say the good sides already. There are some areas that are nice. You know, I do like exploring caves. Some are pretty twisty and neat. And the best part about it is the town. There's the town called Freezington, which is a great, very, very good name. But it's just there. And it's kind of like I said in Isle of Armor, how like it sort of realized the wild area concept more in line with what I wanted in the base game, because the base game was a little disappointing. And so here again, now you have a town. You're in the wild area, you ride up to it, you're in a town. There are people in the town, it's completely seamless. And I'm just like, yes, this is another one of those moments. Another one of those yes moments where you're like, this right here needs to be the future of Pokemon. Because in my original review, I complained a lot about the towns and how like you're in the wild area and it's free and you can move the camera, and then you get in town and that camera locks in and it's just like, it just feels really lame. It just feels really uninteresting. It's very limiting, but here you go. Like, it's a very small town. It's not a major thing at all, and yet I appreciate it that much. It's another just little glimpse of the future of what Pokemon really, really needs to strive to be in the next game. Big, open, seamless worlds like this. I am sad to say, don't worry, there's a lot of positives. I'm not just gonna talk smack about the game the whole entire time. I have a lot of positive stuff. I'll get the negative stuff out of the way first. Just booting it up again, and even like seeing this town, it was the same with Isle of Armor. It is always disappointing to boot it up and be just reminded how cheap the game is. Just how, overall low quality. It's still, like, even now, with like, there are little elements of both of these DLC chunks that kind of surpass the original game, the base game, which is nice, but it still never goes that far. And I still boot it up, and I still am just like flabbergasted. I'm reminded all over again, just like, wow, this really kind of stinks. It just does not live up to Nintendo's quality standard. And all the cutscenes, it's just so like, it's so like old-fashioned. It's the same old. You get pulled into all these cutscenes and conversations with people, and they're so long, and there's barely any animations, and every time someone needs to do an action, the screen cuts to black so that they don't have to animate it. Like, that's so cheap. It feels really gross, and I try to get past it. I try so hard, but I have a really hard time. Anyway, that's a whole entire thing. Obviously, I've talked about plenty of times before, not go on too much. Yeah, the town is really nice. The real point I just wanted to say about the cheapness is just the houses are identical. You walk into each house, literally identical. There's a slight difference where one or two of them have a door, and then in the door's place, and in the other ones, it's like a little Pokemon playmat or something. The rest, all of the decorations, the coat on the wall, the bottles on the shelf, 100% identical, just copied and pasted. And it's just like, really, guys? Really? It's Pokemon. Anyway, that's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. We've been there. And like, it's especially disappointing in the cutscenes because I try to get into them. I try to get into the story. But they feel so long and like you're just trapped in them. And I think that's because they feel so cheap. I feel like if the characters had more personality, were a little more animated, maybe some voice acting, I wouldn't feel so stuck. But because it's so stilted and awkward. Anyway, I do have to move on. I absolutely can't just complain about my general Pokemon Sword and Shield complaints here. Like I said, it is enjoyable. The wild area is a lot of fun. Just thematically, there's a lot of cool stuff around. It's fun seeing new Pokemon, just as always, and I hate that. I hate that that's so enjoyable. All they had to do was take it away and then give it back, and it's like, whoa, cool, these guys are back, but it is still fun. I can't deny that it's fun, and by complete coincidence, like, this area has, like, fully evolved forms of almost my entire team. Just by coincidence, it's like Colossal over here and Dragapult over, I don't know, so it was like weird and confusing, constantly seeing specifically my team all around me. It's like they saved it for this chunk of the game. Anyway, this DLC has like a number of quests that have you hunting down different legendaries. I would say there's primarily one main one, and that involves Calyrex. I think it's Calyrex. And I must say, it's really good. It's really fun. I mean, it's not really good. I really enjoyed it. Compared to anything else I have done in Pokemon Sword and Shield across the whole entire thing, it is the most interesting quests, I think, that I've had the pleasure of taking part in. In fact, there are even parts in that quest when I don't mind the dialogue. There are actually some pretty funny jokes that had me laughing. It's just interesting. Again, I'm not going to spoil the whole thing, but like there is an element to the Calyrex story that I did not know, and I think a lot of other people didn't know, that it introduced something very interesting. And you just have to do, it's like almost like a mystery. You have to do all these different steps to make the thing happen and do the thing with the guy with the story. I'm not gonna spoil the entire thing, but it's really interesting. And it's like, that is what I wanted these games to be more of. Because I mean, even Isle of Armor, like, I wasn't super into the story there. You join a dojo and there's a guy who's annoying, and then like, you have to chase some slowpokes, and then it's like, here's a teddy bear, go train him and turn him into evolve him. And I'm like, I don't want to. I just didn't like the teddy bear, so I didn't want to evolve him, so I just didn't do the rest of it. So to me, there wasn't a lot of good story content there. But even just this Calyrex thing, a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And I will say, if there's one, I mean, it's not super long. I'd say primarily if there's one problem with it, it's that it doesn't have a lot of room to breathe, especially being delegated just to one chunk of DLC. The last chunk of DLC, like, the story to me would have felt so much more just kind of grand. I don't know about epic, but just more meaningful if it had been given more time and had been stretched out across a whole entire game or something. Like, if this was a story thread in the base game, I would have really enjoyed that. But here, it's like, I already played the base game. I already played Isle of Armor. Here I am at Crown Tundra. It's the last chunk of thing. Here I am, and I do the quest, and I'm not distracted by anything. I just do nothing but the quest for, like, you know, an hour or whatever until it's done. And the ending is, like, cool, but it really loses a lot of its impact. Like, it could have been so much more being woven into a greater story, something you saw throughout a whole game. But it's not. But, you know, even as it is, it's still pretty darn cool. I did enjoy it. And really, like, that quest kind of represents what this DLC is about. You're tracking down multiple different sets of legendaries, and each one is its own kind of separate quest, and you're, like, following clues and stuff to find them. And, I loved it. I really loved it. Like, it, you know, wasn't a ton of content. It was probably like a good, like, day, like a good day of playing. I haven't caught like every single one. I could probably do like another day or something. But just like the main clues and stuff, a ton of fun. Like again, okay, I'll just say it right now. I'll just come out and say it. This DLC is the most fun I have had with Pokemon Sword and Shield. Period. Absolutely. Even just the one day of playing. That is the most fun that I have had, because you're actually involved in something. That was my problem with the main story in the first game. You don't do anything. You just move forward. The characters yak at you. It's super boring. Nothing happens in the plot. You get to the end of the game. Nothing happens. A thing happens for some reason. You're done. Whereas like this is like, it's involved. I have motivation here, not just to be the very best or whatever. I want to find these legendaries. I'm working with people and following these clues to do it. And like, that's super cool. In the same vein as the Diglett thing in Isle of Armor, where there's Diglets all over for you to find. In this one, you're like finding bits of evidence out on the ground, but they're like all over the place. And there are 3 legendary Pokemon, which I will not spoil because the game kind of treats it secretly. So I guess I might as well. People didn't know about this one, I think. So I won't say who they are, but it's 3 Pokemon and you have to find all of the evidence. And once you find enough evidence for one, then it tells you what area it's in. You have to go to that area and just try to find them. And that's awesome. Like gathering evidence and just tracking down the location of a Pokemon and just going and finding them, and like, that's awesome. That feels real. That's a real Pokemon adventure there, you know what I mean? Less satisfying was the whole Reggie thing. You know, you got the Regice, the Registeel, and the Regirock. You can find them, and there's like these temples that you gotta open, and there are some new Reggies that you gotta get the other Reggies first to get them. And that was kind of disappointing, just because like in Ruby and Sapphire, getting the Reggies was like a whole thing. It was like you had to do this whole puzzle to like find your way to these temples, and you had to like learn Braille and decipher what they were trying to say, and it felt like a really big involved thing, and it was really cool and satisfying. And this is just like, you get a stupid little clue, like a really lame little clue. And when you figure out the clue, sometimes you don't even need anything special. You just do it and they're there. And then you go in and there's even like, oh, it's a puzzle. You got to do a puzzle. No, you don't. You just light up the circle. It literally acts like it's a puzzle, and it's not. It's just not a puzzle. You just do it and they're there. And then this might seem too nitpicky because it's Pokemon, and I know this is standard, but like, just because of the rest of the DLC lets you get like all the legendaries. We'll talk about the other parts of there in a bit. You get like all the legendaries and all of them, and it's awesome. And then you get to this Reggie thing, and at the end you have to choose one of the 2 new ones. And like, that's so lame. And like, it was one thing when the games were $40 and you could get both editions for 40 each, and now it's like, no, it's 60. And you have to buy the expansion pass. So like, if you want to have both of them, you got to trade them from somebody, but that means that they're going to lose theirs. So it's a legendary. You only get one, and that's a $60 game with a $30 expansion pass per Reggie. And that's, I don't know, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Just because the whole rest of the DLCs, you're getting like all of them. And then it's just, oh, not this one now. Anyway, probably, okay, well, the Calyrex thing is really great, but I don't know, maybe my favorite of these quests is the legendary birds. There's these alternate Galarian forms of the birds. They're super duper cool. I'm not going to dive too much into them in general and why they're cool. Go watch a Noggin video. I'm sure he's got a whole bunch of stuff on them. And like, this is technically like, if there is a spoiler in here that I'm glad I didn't know going in, even though it probably was talked about in the commercials and stuff, I don't know, skip ahead by like 30, 40 seconds or something. If like the act of catching the legendary birds is a spoiler, the footage and me talking about it starts right now. They go across the different areas, both DLCs and the main wild area, the base game, and you have to find them. Like, find them out in the field and like chase them. And I thought this was terrific. I thought it was so good. Just the act of like, there it is, and like hunting it down and then chasing it down to get in a fight. I don't know. That's another bit of like Pokemon magic. That's what I want Pokemon to be. When I'm out in the wild area hunting down a Pokemon, I want it to feel like it's not just a little guy spawning. I want it to feel like, oh my gosh, there's that legendary. It elicited the feeling from like Gold and Silver, like hunting down the legendary dogs out in the wild, and you never know when they're gonna pop up. Like, these have a specific area, but like, it was that kind of feeling that I love and I want to see more in Pokemon. Make it feel more like a real world. Oh, just so much fun. So then beyond that, there's the Max Raid Den. I don't even have a whole ton to talk about it. It's really just like, you have to rent a random Pokemon and beat 4 Max Raid battles, and at the end you get to fight a legendary. And it's super fun. Like, again, like, this is the most fun like, Max Raid battles are pretty cool in the base game, but I was kind of annoyed by them because like when the higher level guys, they always, like, they put up the shield again and again and again, and it's super frustrating. And then, of course, if you're like, actually, you know, if you've got a good team or you're a good Pokemon, and I'm sure if you're working with a good team, they probably don't put up too much of a challenge at all. That was my problem. If I ever did fight with other people, it was like too easy. But this right here, like, you have to use someone else's Pokemon. You can't use your own, and sometimes you get opportunities to switch them partway through. You have to kind of like keep track of what your teammates have, and choose your path based on that, about which type of Pokemon you want to go after. And like, the mystery, like the fact that you're using a random Pokemon, you don't know what you're going to find, you don't know if you're going to switch, you don't know what legendary you're going to find at the end. That mystery makes this super fun. It is the funnest version of Max Raid battles that I have seen in the entire game. And when you're doing it with CPUs, I don't know why they changed it. They're not as stupid anymore. They're not as dumb. In the base game, they're so dumb, and they use all the wrong moves, but I don't know, for whatever reason, they've been pretty cool for me so far. And just that element of mystery, just everything is so unexpected, like, it makes it so much more engaging than any of the other Max Raid battles in the whole entire game. And you get a legendary at the end. It's like a prize at the end. It's like a loot box, except you don't have to pay for it. You just, every single time you go through, you never know what you're gonna get. And it's a ton of fun. Apparently the I don't know if is this a spoiler? I don't think this is a spoiler. It's kind of the Ultra Beast. It's because every legendary is there. So yeah, Ultra Beasts are there. When they introduce the Ultra Beasts, they kind of give you like a narrative reason for why they're there. And I was kind of disappointed because it kind of felt like they were opening up a new story. But they weren't. They were just explaining why the Ultra Beasts were there. And I didn't actually know what Ultra Beasts were until I looked it up, because I didn't play Sun and Moon. Ultra Beasts are really cool. 10 legendaries in one game? That's so cool. Anyway. So like, overall, I would say like the primary strengths of Crown Tundra is like hunting down legendaries, just being able to like follow clues and actually like engage yourself in the game and the story and the world and feel like you're really hunting down these Pokemon. That's great. And then like, really, when it comes down to it, the reason I love it so much is because one of my very favorite things to do in any Pokemon game ever has been catching legendaries. I don't know why. I mean, I like the whole entire games also, but like something about going into that cave, finding that Mewtwo, and trying to catch it with an Ultra Ball. The thrill of trying to get its health down without knocking it out, trying to put it to sleep or paralyze it, and just, you know, throwing a million Ultra Balls, be like, I'm not going to use my Master Ball. I absolutely refuse. And then just, you know, oh, it twitched 3 times and it still broke free. It's totally dumb. It has not changed one single bit in all of these 25 years or whatever. And yet I still find it so much fun. It's thrilling and it's fun. And at the end, your prize is a cool legendary. I'm not even going to use any of these. Probably not. I'm not going to use any of these guys. But it's fun to get them. And it's a very childlike kind of glee. Oh, I finally got a Suicune. Oh, I've never had a Suicune. I wanted to catch one so bad. I'm not going to use it, but like, it's still cool that I have it. It's still cool that I have all these legendaries. And again, it's so lame that all they have to do is just be like, no, you can't have any of the Pokemon, except now you can have all these Pokemon. It's like, oh, thank you so much. But it is cool. I can't deny it. They're just little guys, and they just have stats, and they just have the names from the things of the games that I grew up with, and yet you put them in the game. And I really enjoy it. I feel amazing having these legendaries in this game that I'm not even gonna play anymore after this, because I don't play this game, because I didn't like this game, and yet here I am, happy to have the legendary dogs, finally, fulfilling my dream since 1999 or whatever. And so it really comes down to that. Do you like just catching legendaries? Because if you do, there's a heck of a lot of legendaries here. Just so many to capture. Obviously, like in the Max Raid Den or whatever, it's a little bit different. It's like the Dynamax thing. But like most of the main legendaries in the main thing, you know, legendary birds and all that, it's just your standard thing. You try not to knock them out. You try to catch them. And it's a ton of fun. And I love it. And because of that, I really enjoyed Crown Tundra. It's funny, I guess they saved the best for last, or at least they saved like the one that meshes with me the most for last. I really enjoyed it. It's really fun. Like I said, I don't really play this game. I don't like this game. And yet at the same time, they still provided a decent amount of like fun story content, fun little just like a, you know, goose chases to go on, hunt down these legendaries, catch some legendaries, feel cool that you got the legendaries. And at the end of the day, I thought it was a lot of fun. I don't know if I would have paid money for it. No. If I wasn't reviewing it, I probably wouldn't have. But I'm glad I did, just because I did have fun with it. And as with Isle of Armor, as with anything, if you like Pokemon Sword and Shield, if you enjoyed it, if you are a you know, a competitive player, then it's a no-brainer. Like, it's an absolute no-brainer. It's another wild area. It's another set of Pokemon to find and raise and train and just stuff, you know, items to get if you are engaged in just the basic feedback loop of the game, which I wasn't. Not really, but if you are, then you're gonna find, I mean, you know, I still enjoyed this, and then if you're into all that other stuff, then yeah, it's a no-brainer for you. You're gonna get it. You probably already get it. Got it. You're probably already enjoying it. Whether or not all of the DLC has ended up being like totally worth it in the end, or a good thing versus, you know, versus second editions, you know, Sword and Shield 2 or Ultra Sword and Shield or whatever, is a whole discussion for another day. I would actually like to do a whole video talking about the DLC as a whole, so I will end things now and say thank you for watching. I love you. You're wonderful. Please go down to the comments and let me know if you are playing this DLC, if you are enjoying it, if you think legendaries are super dumb or whatever. Let me know. You have a wonderful day, and you have a wonderful day. I said and, but I didn't actually have another thing to say. Goodbye. Okay, I guess goodbye could have been the other thing to say. Have a good day, and goodbye. Yeah, okay, that would have worked. Have a good day, goodbye.